right, ladies and gentlemen, I am Joe. He is Nick, and you are listening to the Nick and Joe Show. I am here in the studio, the Think Radio Broadcast Center in Ottawa, Canada's national capital city. Nick is on the farm, not self-isolating. I just want to make that clear. Although I think that there were some members of Nick's family that had to have some COVID testing done right recently because today, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, Nick, because somebody was complaining or somebody was perhaps...
Yeah, that was a bit of an adventure.
Perhaps a little irrationally afraid of the possibility that one of your kids at work might have COVID-19 and might be...
Well, she had a head cold.
Okay.
And let me just tell you this story. She had a head cold, and one of her co-workers heard her cough and make a little sniffle and went to the boss complaining that she thought she might have COVID. So the boss went back to my daughter and said, you have to go home and you can't come back until you have a clean bill of health. You have to go get tested for COVID. Well, okay. Set the immediate aftermath away because, you know, she doesn't have COVID. She's got a head cold. That's all it was. So anyway, went to get her test today, and it was not pleasant to put it mildly. But the thing that struck me about it, Joseph, was how over the top the reaction was by the people who were administering the test. Now, I know they have protocols to follow, and I'm not faulting them for that, because it's their job. They have to do that, whether I think it's a good idea or not. But they looked like they were ready to make a moonshot. It looked like they were ready to do a spacewalk. They had the helmet on with the air hose off the back and the, covered head to toe in impermeable material, and they had a little filter bag that the air hose went to and a full face shield. I mean, it looked like something out of space, whatever that Space Odyssey movie is, or out of a NASA training film or something. And I thought, holy mackerel, this is really getting out of hand. Because if you weren't scared before, that is, I could understand why people might have a little bit of a problem seeing that, thinking, just how serious is this? So we got through it okay. Everybody's fine. I mean, it's just nonsense. The kind of hoops they're making people go through, and the fear that they're generating because of this, which is completely unnecessary. So anyway, that's kind of what happened. And like I said, when my daughter went through it, she said it felt like they stuck a Q-tip up my nose with razor blades on the end. It was not a pleasant experience.
So it was the one where they have to go right up into your, on the outside of your brain.
Yeah, they call it tickling your brain.
Tickling your brain, which is actually funny because, your brain doesn't have any nerves that feel. And so
that's right.
When they do brain surgery, you actually can be awake. And often, they want you to be awake when they're doing certain types of surgery, etc. So, well, this is this is a good sort of lead into this story, and it's a bit of a tragic story. We keep on saying that we don't want to have to talk about the coronavirus or COVID-19 anymore, but it just seems that every week something else comes up, and sometimes we can have some fun with it and make fun of people and etc. Like the people who are wearing their full hazmat suits. And Nick, you and I have to find some sort of hazmat costumes so that we can go shopping or something like that, or go into a restaurant somewhere wearing our hazmat suits. But we have to have somebody.
We want to respect other people's rights to be safe.
But we have to have somebody recording the event, because that's just too good for.
That would be fun.
It's just too good to not be recording.
We couldn't let that one go.
No.
Yep.
But
that would be fun. Can you imagine you and me walking around in these hazmat suits?
And what would be really interesting.
Either that or you walk around the hazmat suit.
There's that echo again, Nick. I don't know where it's coming from. But would be really interesting would be if we went and did that just to see what the reaction of other people would be. And so, you can walk. You're walking through the store. You walk in with your hazmat suits, okay, and some sort of a little tricorder type of instrument. The old Star Trek. I'm detecting.
Yeah. Star Trek thing.
And just walking around showing that you're taking measurements, and just to see how other people are going to react, right? And all you have to do is say, it's okay, everything's perfectly safe, no problems here. Anyway, okay, all joking aside, so
beam us up, Scotty. No intelligent life down here.
That's right. Well, it's, as I said, it's a tragic story, Nick, out of Wisconsin, where a fellow who really
it is.
Let's start off by explaining that this fellow was clearly unbalanced. He's clearly has mental illness issues, and in fact, the court in fact ended up agreeing with that, and he's been now committed to an institution. It looks like for life, if I'm not mistaken, Nick. But the act that he was arrested for and charged with was that he attacked 4 members of his family, and killing 2 of them, and then explained afterwards to the police that the reason he did it was to save them from the coronavirus. And he might have been a ticking time bomb. Okay, and I'm prepared to concede that point. But that aside, you can't escape the fact that what triggered him finally, in the final analysis, was the fear of this virus. And one wonders how much, if any, contributing, how much those out there, especially government officials, who have been really stoking the fear, really fear-mongering on the COVID-19 file, for whatever reason, how much do they bear responsibility for actually finally, pushing this person, who again clearly had mental health issues, but they pushed him over the edge eventually. Is there any culpability there? And is this a warning sign to public officials to say to them, easy does it, guys? This is an illness. It's serious in those few people that it's serious with. We respect it. We take measures to try to prevent its spread. Reasonable, sensible, common sense measures. But it's not a pandemic like you see in the movies where, it's the Walking Dead. The world is not going to be infected to this degree. It's not. People are not dropping dead in the streets by this. And so, maybe temper it a little bit. Maybe tone down the fear-mongering a little bit. And if public officials in Wisconsin or elsewhere, because you can get this stuff on the television now from around the world, if public officials maybe just toned it down a little bit, would those 2 people be alive today?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that the fear-mongering by governments and by the media, they're complicit agents in this, haven't done anything to calm people. Like in a crisis, you remember when we were in the Navy, Joseph, they hammered into us over and over again, panicking gets people killed. Panic will kill you. Do not panic. It doesn't matter what's going on. You have to keep your head, because otherwise people are going to die. That's a refrain that we really took to heart, first of all, and it has served us over the years. I know in my case at least once or twice where it's been something that really made a difference in the way a certain circumstance played out. And yet there's none of that. None in the media. Nobody's saying, look, it would be so much easier, I guess it'd be so much easier for people to come to terms with if the government would come out and say, look, this is something that we need to pay attention to. Here's the steps we're taking. but everything's, just keep your stay calm. Everything's cool. We're doing everything we can, but there's no reason to panic. There's no reason for hoarding. There's no reason for, and fill in the blank for the behavior that you think there's no reason for. And people wouldn't go, crazy whenever you wouldn't have people worried about every little sniffle out of their coworker. You wouldn't have people calling each other out in a grocery store because one's wearing a mask and the other one isn't. There's been cases of violence. Look at this kid in Alberta. I call him a kid. He's 21. He's an adult. But, standing on an open air sheet of ice playing hockey. And 39 of the people with him decided that they were going to go along with the law. Instead of saying, wait a minute, this is not what Canada is about. This is a stupid law. It has no moral authority. And we're not getting off the ice. And you can't make us. Instead of being rational about it, it was an overreaction by both the police and probably by the young man as well. But it's just...
So tell
the state is meant... Look, it's like if you have a national emergency...
Nick, tell our listeners what happened. What happened to this fellow.
Okay, out in Calgary, you mean?
Yeah.
The guy I was just talking about?
Yes. Okay.
There was a young man, about 40 people showed up at an outdoor rink in Calgary. And they dropped the puck, and they were out playing a game of shinny. Just out on the... It's about as Canadian a thing as you can do. For our American listeners, imagine, especially if you're in the South or your countries where hockey's not that big a sport, imagine a frozen lake, people sliding around on the ice with knives strapped to their feet, beating the crap out of each other with sticks, chasing a little piece of 6 ounces of vulcanized rubber. That's hockey. Okay, and we do it. We love it. Absolutely, it's our national sport. It's our unofficial national sport, and it's the kind of glue that holds this country together in a lot of ways. So these kids are out just enjoying life, trying to get through this the best they can. And the bylaw officers show up and say, you can't, you're not social distancing, you have to get off the ice. And when they didn't get the compliance they wanted, the Calgary police showed up. And to make a long story short, it took 3 of them to wrestle this young man to the ice. They handcuffed him, cut his skates off, and the whole time he's asking, why am I being arrested? Why am I being arrested? Now, look, all I'm working on is the video that was available to us at the time. There's obviously more to the story. We don't know how long the confrontation lasted, but this is not, I heard more than one cop come on terrestrial radio and saying, this is not how you handle this. Do you escalate it and risk violence, or do you back it down and try to approach it from another angle? That this policing 101 went right out the window, and they even threatened to taser the guy. All because he wanted to be outside playing hockey. And it was really a gross overreaction. So I certainly hope that the Calgary police have learned their lesson from that and that they won't do that again. But anyway, so these are the kind of things that happen when you push people into a corner and they feel like they've got no place else to go. Sooner or later, you're going to have people saying, I'm done playing this game. I do not want to participate. You can't make me, and good luck to you if you try. And I don't mean to condone that attitude, but I understand it. Because people have a limit. They will not simply keep rolling over for you just because you think they should. And the you in this case is the state. And I salute this young man's